lights, late night glow. Pull up a seat, you already know. Alan Thompson on the microphone. Yeah, we're getting into it tonight. Everybody got a story, but there's always something more. What you heard is just the beginning. We're going deeper than before. Based off.
What's good, Hollywood besties? This is Alan Thompson, back at you with another video. You know, there's a saying that I think Marcus really needs to hear about right now. So this is sort of like part 2 to the previous video I did where Tragedy and Marcus basically fell out, which I know he's released another video since that time and it seems Tragedy's back in the picture, but we still got to talk about this. If one person has a problem with you, it could be that person. If 2 people have a problem with you, okay, maybe you just so happen to run into 2 difficult people. But when person after person after person keeps having a problem with you, at some point, you have to stop looking around the room and start looking in the mirror, because the common denominator might be you. And after watching Marcus's latest video with Feisty, I'm sitting here thinking, Marcus, how are you this frustrated with everybody else when you continue to voluntarily put yourself in these situations? Nobody made you do any of the things you do for these people. Nobody told you to become this personally invested in Tragedy. Nobody told you to get this personally invested in Feisty. Nobody told you to get this personally invested in Polo. Nobody told you to get this personally invested in Tone or Ileana. And yet every time one of these relationships goes left, Marcus seems to be absolutely bewildered by the outcome. Sir, what exactly were you expecting? Marcus says in this video that he is basically tired of dealing with grown men who act like little boys while still wanting to be treated like grown men. And when I heard that, I literally almost fell out my chair. Because Marcus, do you hear yourself? Because there are people watching you who could make a very similar argument. You spend all this time lecturing everybody else about accountability, getting a job, making money, taking responsibility, stop making excuses, get your life together. Okay, but where's the same level of introspection when it comes to your own decisions? Because you keep choosing to work with these people. You keep putting money into these situations. You keep getting personally involved. You keep blurring the line between being the cameraman, the employer, mentor, counselor, friend, father figure, whatever role you're playing that particular week. And then when the relationship blows up, you're standing there frustrated like somebody did something to you. Marcus, you participated in creating this dynamic. So now apparently Tragedy was fired. So of course, like I say, there's been a video released since then. He's in it. So clearly that didn't last. But we already know every time Marcus says that, like by the next week, he's working with the person again. So it's a bunch of crap whenever he says it. Marcus says in the video, though, for right now, Tragedy was done. And the only way he's going to consider working with him again is if Tragedy comes back and gives him what Marcus considers to be a sincere, on-camera, public apology. And my question is, why? What is the objective? Okay, so let's say Tragedy comes back the next day, which it seems he did. He sits in front of Marcus's camera. He apologizes. Marcus accepts it. They start filming again. Then what? What exactly has changed? Has Tragedy suddenly developed the stability Marcus keeps saying he needs? Has the underlying relationship changed? Have the boundaries changed? Has Marcus changed? No. You simply restarted the same exact cycle and somehow convinced yourself that this time you're going to get a different result. And that's what I mean when I say this whole thing is becoming a road to nowhere. And here's what's interesting. Toward the end of the video, Marcus essentially admits something that I think is incredibly important. He says he's here to film the journey, maybe give a little advice and guidance, but ultimately they have to want it. Exactly, Marcus. You finally maybe got it. They have to want it. So why are you more invested in their transformation than they appear to be? Why are you getting angry? Why are you threatening to cut fees? Why are you firing quote unquote people? Why are you demanding apologies? Why are you giving people blueprints and then getting mad when they don't follow them? At a certain point, you're not documenting the journey anymore. You're trying to direct the journey, and those are two completely different things. Maybe the answer has been sitting in front of you this entire time. Go back to being the cameraman. But that is where the contradiction gets even bigger. Because Marcus is talking to Feisty about all the things these men need to do. Meanwhile, what about Feisty? Marcus actually tells her she's good for this kind of reality content because she's basically crazy, but not so crazy that the content can't work. And I'm sitting there thinking, how sad is that? Because we're looking at somebody who clearly needs stability in her own life, and you're looking at some of those same characteristics through the lens of, well, this makes good content. That right there is part of the problem I have with this entire operation that Marcus runs. You can't spend 1 minute talking about people needing to become productive, be stable adults, and then spend the next minute figuring out how their instability can be packaged into entertainment. Which one is it? Do you want transformation or do you want content? Because sometimes those two things are going to be in direct conflict with each other. Then Marcus starts questioning why Feisty continuously chooses men who essentially have some of the same problems she does. Marcus, how do you think this works? People very often connect with people who are in similar places in life. A man who has his life completely together, emotionally stable, financially secure, healthy boundaries, structure, responsibility, may not be interested in signing up for this kind of chaos. And Marcus brings up Nick as though Nick represents some great alternative, or he was a great alternative. Come on. Do you really think Nick was going to put up with Feisty long term? And Nick isn't the greatest example to use for the larger point anyway. You're trying to solve incredibly complicated human problems with these simplistic little formulas. She needs this type of man. He needs to make money this way. They should start this business, go make a website, start streaming, make an OnlyFans. Marcus, these are not necessarily solutions for people that need to get much bigger help before they try to start any of this type of stuff. And this part really got me. Marcus starts suggesting they can make money doing OnlyFans content. Okay, let's just be real. Anybody can technically start an OnlyFans. That doesn't mean anybody wants to actually pay to see it. What is the actual long-term plan here? You're talking to people whom yourself repeatedly describe as struggling with basic responsibilities and basic life skills. And your solution is, let me live stream them, make content, start OnlyFans. That's not transformation. Those are potential income streams, and highly uncertain ones at that. Where is the structure? Where is the consistency? Where is the stability? Where is the work of actually becoming healthier and a more functional person? Let's be real here. Life is bigger than sex. Life is bigger than this content they're putting out. Life is bigger than going viral. These people need real transformation if the goal is actually for their lives to improve. And that's why I keep coming back to Marcus. Because imagine investing this much of your time, energy, and emotion into all of this foolishness, and then presenting yourself as the person who has everything figured out. Marcus apparently came from a reasonably stable background, his upbringing, He did build a successful platform. He's built a successful platform. He's clearly capable of working and sustaining himself. So what are we doing here? You have surrounded yourself with homeless people, people dealing with addiction, people who appear to have significant emotional or psychological struggles, and people whose lives are generally jacked up. And somehow you've become personally frustrated that they aren't behaving like stable people. Make it make sense, Marcus. Like, what the heck? You're trying to create a reality show out of instability while simultaneously becoming angry that the instability won't follow your production schedule. Maybe the problem isn't that they're failing your experiment. Maybe your experiment was flawed from the beginning. And there's another layer to this that I don't think should be ignored. Marcus has allegations surrounding him that he still needs to deal with. I'm going to keep bringing this up because, it hasn't been brought up, how's this kind of died down. He still has allegations surrounding him that he still needs to deal with. And I'm going to continue calling the allegations unless and until something is established. But those allegations exist. So perhaps right now isn't the time to be standing on a soapbox pointing your finger at everybody else's life. Maybe some of this energy needs to go toward Marcus, because you can become so consumed with everybody else's dysfunction that you conveniently stop examining your own. And this is where this situation becomes very interesting. We can see the power imbalance. Marcus controls the camera. Marcus controls the platform. Marcus controls who gets filmed. Marcus decides who's fired, quote unquote. Marcus decides who gets paid. Marcus decides when someone's fee gets cut. Marcus decides who can come back. And apparently now Marcus decides whether somebody's apology is sincere enough for them to return. At what point are you no longer simply documenting people's lives? And at what point are you actually shaping their behavior through access to money and your platform? That's a question worth asking, because when the people you're dealing with are already vulnerable, that power imbalance matters. And I've said this before. Marcus, just be the cameraman. That's what worked in the past. You documented people, you interviewed them, you asked questions, you let their stories unfold. But somewhere along the way, you inserted your little self into the story. Now you're managing people, you're disciplining people, you're giving financial advice, you're giving relationship advice, you're trying to create businesses, you're talking about OnlyFans, you're firing people, you're demanding public apologies. And you're becoming increasingly frustrated because these people won't behave the way you think they should. Maybe that's your sign. Back up. Point the camera, ask the questions, and let these grown adults make their own decisions. Because, Marcus, you're wasting your energy trying to force something that every sign around you is telling you might not work. Polo, Tone, Tragedy, and others who have had their issues with you. Different people, different personalities, different circumstances. But there is one person who keeps showing up in all of these stories. You. And that doesn't mean Marcus is wrong every single time. It doesn't mean everybody else is innocent. It doesn't mean these people don't need to get their lives together. Of course, they absolutely do. But that's exactly why the saying matters. If one person has a problem with you, it could be them. When everybody keeps having a problem with you, eventually you have to ask yourself what the common denominator is. And Marcus, you're the common denominator. So before you get frustrated with another grown man, before you fire somebody else, before you cut somebody else's money, before you demand another apology, before you come up with another business plan for somebody who clearly isn't interested in following it, look in the mirror. Because while you're busy trying to fix everybody around you, your own situation continues to unravel. And from where I'm sitting, everybody just seems to see where this road is heading, except Marcus. Listen, Marcus, you better slow down. And like the old saying goes, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because as frustrated as you are with everybody else, Marcus, you need to be equally frustrated with yourself. All right, y'all, drop down in those comments and let me know your thoughts. This is Alan Thompson with More Based Off, and you know I'll be back with another video soon. Always something.
Hollywood lights, late night glow. Pull up a seat, you already know. Alan Thompson on the microphone. Yeah, we're getting into it tonight. Everybody got a story, but there's always something more. What you heard is just the beginning. We're going deeper than before. More based off, more based off. There's always more to talk about. More based off, more based off. Turn it up, we're breaking it down. From Hollywood we set the vibe. Come on in and stay a while. Ellen Thompson every night. More based off, we're live. Yeah, there's always something more. More based off with Alan Thompson.
Thanks for watching More Based Off. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with someone who would enjoy it too. Your support helps to grow the channel. If you'd like to support the channel even further, my Cash App is on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.